everybody. I'm so excited to have a long-time friend, my soror, my sister. What else can I use? I could use them all, right? This is my girl. This is Eva Greene Wilson of Socamom. How are you doing, Eva?
I am good, considering, of
Well,
course, but
yeah.
I'm good.
You know, the last time I had you on, it was over a year ago. And you were coming to me from DC. You've made a move.
Yes, I have. I am in Chicago now. So I won't say pandemic central, but it's it's like baby New York out here
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Yeah,
They have you guys on lockdown. Of course, we
very
should
much.
be. And if we have the state of mind and idea to help other people, we would stay home. But we got a governor that's a little bit, well, he's stepping over bodies for business. Let's just call it what it is.
And the sad thing is it's not working because
No.
now the high level top jobs are disappearing as well. So you're opening beauty salons, okay,
Yeah.
but that's not exactly the economic stimulus that we need. We need to stay home and get well
Right.
so that we can get back to normal, but
Well, and people are
that's
still
not
dying.
everybody's plan. Yeah,
They're still
exactly.
dying. They're going to graduations, like in Atlanta, for this private school graduation. Everybody was cool in the cars, but no, some parent had to okay a swim party,
Oh, good grief.
and everybody has it,
Ugh.
and even the beauty shops. In I think it's Missouri, where two beauty shop. I think they were at a haircut place, but they were working sick for
Mm,
days. It affected about at least 140 people.
yeah, I think the first figure they thought was 80, and then but that's the thing, yes, it is very, very contagious, but it is beyond anything that we've ever seen, and people just aren't taking it seriously. But we have Lori Lightfoot, who's not playing games
Yeah,
inside the city of Chicago. Now, the rest of Illinois is different,
yeah,
but Chicago, we went out Memorial Day weekend. I hadn't been out of this house in 9 weeks,
mm-hmm,
like not out my front door.
yeah,
And we got in the car, we drove along the lake.
mm-hmm.
Can I tell you there were police? Don't try to come off the highway.
Oh,
Every exit there is
y'all
a
better
police
handle
car
it
tape. No,
because it
and
needs to be
every park is
handled here.
closed.
It really does. And I
Every
live
park.
right outside of Dallas, so I don't have the privilege of having the Dallas mayor, but we do have this county judge, Clay Jenkins, who's been fighting hard and pretty much going at it with the governor. But I think the last couple of rounds he just lost. So anyway, Eva, how about I almost said a Soca Mom moment? How about a culture soup moment? You ready?
Yes, yes.
Okay, you can't get away from it.
Oh boy.
I say social media is culture soup for a very good reason. And
Right.
one of those reasons really is tied to names and hashtags. And we're
Yes.
seeing them again in rapid
Yes.
succession.
Hmm.
In fact,
As
Aubrey
if
Ahmaud,
yes, yes,
George Floyd, and an
yes.
almost thanks to Karen in
Yeah.
Central Park.
I mean, I have two boys,
Yeah.
as you know, and a husband,
Yes.
and they like to do normal things.
Yes.
But the thing is, these days you can't even be in your house.
No.
So it's one thing to say, you know what, you don't want to get shot, just stay home. Well, you
No.
can't stay home either.
They're coming for you there too.
Exactly. Like you
Yeah.
can't sit on your couch and watch television.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take a phone call outside on your cell phone.
Yeah.
There is nowhere right now that is safe.
Right.
Not even bird watching. You can get killed bird watching. That
Yeah.
doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make sense. But this is where we are.
So what do you tell your two boys? One is older. He's on his own.
Yes.
Evan. And
Yes.
Dave is, oh man, he's like a little man. My goodness. So handsome too. Both of them.
Thank
But I
you.
mean, Dave is
Thank
just,
you.
I
I
guess because
talked
he
to,
was so little when I met him.
oh my goodness. Well, when you met Evan, he was a
3?
toddler, right? He
Little.
was tiny and still tripping
Yes.
over his feet, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I spoke with Evan this weekend
Mm-hmm.
and he's worried, of
Yeah.
course, because, when you're a young man and you're out, he's still at that age where he hasn't hit his mid 20s. So, he still feels like he has some kind of, I guess, the protection of youth.
Right.
Right? You don't have this, but he's online and he's seeing all of these hashtags, and he obviously doesn't want to become one. You don't think about those kinds of, most families don't think about those kinds of dangers. When I say most families, I mean families that are not Black, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to, tell their kids, look both ways when you cross the street so you don't get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Don't drink anything at a party and you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
The simple things that you tell young adults, we don't even have anything that we can tell them now to make them feel safe or to make them feel like they are in control of their own fate. You can't even say, just be a good person and you'll be fine. Yeah. That's not it.
No.
There's really no protections for them mentally right now that'll make them feel safe. So, we talk about it. It's happening. What can we say? We can't say, well, just be aware of your surroundings.
No.
Well, you don't know. You just don't want to get bitten by a dog, and you quite possibly could end up a hashtag.
Yeah.
You want to stay in shape during a pandemic rather than sitting on your couch where you could also get shot.
Right.
You can't jog.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. And it's hard to raise Black children, especially Black boys, in an environment like this. And then on top of that, they have the fear of the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's an enemy that they can't even see.
Oh,
they
my
don't.
goodness.
They just don't have any outlet. So, we just deal the best way that we can.
My poor little girl. She didn't know. I mean, all she knows is what we tell her. She doesn't watch the news. But it really did a number on her. And she was having bad dreams almost every night. It's one thing to hear them say, oh yeah, your kids are going to be clingy. No, this was different. This was so different. Yeah. And when I realized, it's like, okay, she's grieving after losing so much contact with her friends, school, all of this. And then on top of that, she's worried about, is mommy going to get sick and die? Is Gabby and Papa going to get sick and die?
Right.
All of these things in her little bitty mind.
Yes.
That shouldn't be worried about this stuff.
Yes. And some of the kids are like, if my parents die, is it my fault?
Yeah.
Did I bring it to them?
Right.
Was it something that I did? Because they hear that you can be asymptomatic and infect somebody. So it's a really, really scary time for kids.
It very much is. And we don't know enough about it to even be making decisions. And, since we last talked, certified coach, and I'm always talking about leadership. And one of the things about leadership is to know for yourself, then lead your people.
Yes.
And we haven't seen that because nobody's certain.
Right.
They're leading people anyway.
Yes.
I have a funny story about privilege. And it's with a dear white friend of mine. Dear, dear friend. He was telling me the story about how at Christmas, and he was laughing about it, so I thought it was just going to be a funny, right? Christmas a couple years ago, he had 2 college-age kids, both of them dating, so they had the girlfriend, boyfriend home for the holidays. And they live near an area where young people, college-age people, maybe, young adults like to go out. And their house is like right around the corner. So you have they just walk down the street to the restaurants, to the bars, all that kind of thing. And they make it home. Well, they came home late, as they typically did, most nights. And the next morning they were handing out, and it was Christmas, hot chocolate and marshmallows and muffins and whatever else they had to the people in their house. Well, there was this young man that was there, and they gave him some goodies for breakfast and asked him, what's your name and who are you here with? You here with Ruth, right? No. Well, how about Barrett? No. Yeah. So then it became kind of obvious because both of the children came out and they're like, we don't know this person. Right. I mean, it will make you laugh, right? But I'm shocked. And he doesn't understand why. I'm just looking at him like, what are you telling me?
Yeah.
And then, when they ask him, he's like, well, I don't have my wallet. I just kind of went down the street and turned knobs and y'all's was open. So came in. And so my friend was talking about how they were adding this to the Christmas letter for next year to go out because they met this new friend. They gave him some money to get an Uber, and he was on his way.
Wow.
And so I'm in shock. And he's looking at me like, why are you in shock? And I'm going, and I never told him this. I just said, well, you know, that would not happen in my neighborhood. Not like that.
No.
Not like that. So let's
That's
switch out
no.
some things, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if the stranger were black?
Okay, so my first question is, how did the kids not look at one another and say, who is that?
Right.
That's my first thing.
Yeah.
Second thing is the parents are very comfortable with what they believe one of their children's friends looks like.
Yes.
They are certain enough to hand a stranger in their home something
Scones.
to eat and never ask them,
Yeah.
who in God's name are you? Because I've
Yeah.
never seen you before.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So had that been a black man turning knobs,
Yeah.
he never would have gotten in that house. And I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
The police would have been called on the first porch he stopped on.
Yes. He wouldn't have made it
He
there
wouldn't have made it to the second one
if he lived through it.
if he lived through it. And then he has no ID.
Right.
He has no wallet.
Right.
He has, you has no idea how to identify himself.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, there is a knee in his neck.
Yes.
And he doesn't get an opportunity to say who he is.
Nope.
We find out who he is after he has died.
After there's a hashtag.
That he was in possession of marijuana 15 years ago.
Yes.
And that he deserved everything that he got.
Yeah.
So there would have been no muffins.
No. And you know what? Let's switch it again. What if it was my house in Oak Cliff, Texas, growing up? Okay, first of all, the door would not be open.
Nope.
In fact, we probably have either burglar bars or something. You know, our house is on lock. Nobody's walking in the house. And if they did, Daddy had a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so this was the reason why I was like in shock. Like, how could this be? And then it hit me. I was like, we come from two totally different worlds. As much as I love my friend.
The freedom that your friend has, we have never had.
No.
And that translates into so many different things. When people say, why can't you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Well, my hands have been tied behind my back and I have been living in fear for a very, very long time.
Right.
So when you're asking me to take risks, that's difficult for me to do.
Yes.
Because like you said, my doors are locked.
Yes.
And I don't trust anyone.
Anybody.
I don't want to, even if a white man turned my doorknob and walked in and sat down to have breakfast with me,
no,
I can't call the police.
No.
Daddy has to have a shotgun.
Yes,
because
and we're in
what?
Texas, and you better make sure he's in the house or at least on the lawn so Daddy can have the gun. But then you're going to have a fight anyway.
Exactly.
Because they're going to wonder why Daddy shot this white guy.
In his house.
Yes.
Now, there was an incident recently, I'm not sure where it was, but people were just sightseeing inside this man's house. And he was like, I would like you to leave here.
Yes.
And he pulls out a gun and he gets arrested. So that's the problem. You can't call the police.
That's exactly
if a white man breaks into your home.
Yeah.
Because you probably won't live through it.
Yeah.
Even if it's your house, you
Totally.
don't have those protections. So yeah, that kind of, I don't even want to say bondage like it's 1962, but it is. Your mind is kind of crippled by the bondage that you have been in and the fear that you have lived under your whole life. We think it's just normal. Like what? Somebody just turns knobs? That's what?
Who does that?
Right. But in other people's free minds, they do.
Totally.
They do.
And you know what? This is the thing this is why the podcast even exists, because of the name. Social media is culture soup. And these devices that we have, right? Mm-hmm. If it was not for these devices, we would not know about George Floyd. We wouldn't know about Amy Cooper. Now let's talk about that awareness of the power. Because many white people who are good-hearted, good-natured, they don't wield intentionally the power that comes with this white privilege. But we saw Amy Cooper almost choke out her dog.
Yes.
To call the police on this man that's telling her to leave him alone, clearly.
Yes.
And then you're going, thank God he continued to record.
Yes. And thank God he had the awareness to leave.
Yes.
Because if he was standing there and the theatrics that she was able to put on just over the phone, I can only imagine what she would do in person, in front of the police. You don't know what officer you're going to get. You have no idea. A friend of mine tagged me in a comment that she had on Facebook that, do you remember the scene in Get Out where able to keep a completely straight face?
Yes.
But still be able to put on
the whole
whatever
show
was needed.
Yes.
And like you said, there are some very well-intentioned people, probably more often than not, right? But knowing the power that you have is completely different. We know that he knew the power that he did not have.
Yes.
So that's why he turned on his camera.
Right.
She knew the power that she did have. And that's why she actually used it as a threat.
Yeah.
It wasn't that she just said, you know what, I'm afraid. Let me pick up my phone and call. And I'm just describing the man in front of me.
No.
She threatened him. She said, I am going to call the police and tell them. Not that a man.
Yes.
But an African-American man.
Yes, she was clear on that.
Exactly. Is threatening my life.
Yes.
She knew what she was doing. She knew the power that she had, and he knew what he didn't have.
Right.
All he had was that phone. And for a lot of us, the phone is just the evidence after the fact. It doesn't save your life.
No, it may not even get them
save his
convicted
life.
or arrested.
Yeah, she did it on the video.
Yes.
That wasn't going to save his life. That did not scare her at all.
No.
So, you know, that the videos get us justice sometimes.
Sometimes.
But it's not a lifesaver, not yet.
It's that glimmer, that little bitty chance of hope.
Yes.
It's sad. And so I'll do this one more thing. I'm on TikTok. Yeah,
yes, I love your videos.
Right? I'm on TikTok. And, you know, originally it was full of young people, you know, as young as 9, maybe even younger than that. But then slowly but surely, a lot of moms got on. This is before I got on. And many of them white moms, because many of their daughters were white teens, right? You know, the most popular person on TikTok is this this young woman named Charlie. So it was primarily white. And then you had some black folks on there, and they were pretty much the ones making up the real cool dances. And it got appropriated. So all that is going on, you know, about the renegade and all. Well, I'm listening to this woman. I just happened to swipe through, young, 30-ish mom, who is upset because she keeps seeing these 9-year-olds calling 30 and up women, put a thumbnail there, Karen. So, you know, saying, oh, Karen, you know, you can't do that dance, or Karen, what are you trying, blah, 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 blah. So she goes on a tirade. I am sick of seeing these 9-year-olds calling these 30-year-old moms who are accomplished. We are millennials. We have careers. We have done all these things. Karens. And we Karens have done so much with our lives that only you can imagine. So this whole thread pops up, right? First thing you see is a black woman that says, that's not what Karen means. Karen.
That really shouldn't be funny, but
yeah,
it was
and
hilarious.
It became,
she
turned it into a narrative around women and girls and feminism. And so there were a lot of white women on there like, yeah, you know, you're right. We see these little girls calling us Karen, and it's just not fair. And so several of us were like, do y'all know what Karen means? And they're like, well, no. I mean, the 9-year-olds came up with it. We're like, no. Black people came up with it. And it means a white woman who is aware of her privilege and uses it to still kill and destroy people of color's lives. Okay? And then it was like
there are
shock.
white women. Yeah, there are white women who say enough, Karen.
Yeah.
because they know.
They get it. And
It's
so I
it's
said,
not. Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
I said, well, look, it's either two things. Either the 9-year-olds are misusing it, and by the way, the person who posted this didn't understand it. I said, or the 9-year-olds at least understand that entitlement has something to do with it. And the fact that you believe as 30-year-olds that you could get on here and own their platform is enough to call you Karen. But have you ever seen them call a black woman Karen?
No, because the world is Karen's world.
Yes.
Right? And Karen is offended.
Yeah.
And it doesn't apply to anyone else.
Right.
Right? When Karen calls somebody Shaniqua.
There you go.
And, you know.
Rosarita.
Hello.
Or Ling Ling.
But we're not at the place where where our outrage is heard.
Right.
Because we have those same arguments. We are accomplished. Mm-hmm. We are doing amazing things. We are starting businesses at a ridiculous rate.
More than anybody.
Being successful. But you can reduce us to Shaniqua whenever you feel like it.
Yeah.
You can reduce us to Rosa.
Yeah.
Rosarita. Mm-hmm. Whatever stereotype you want to when you feel like it. But if a 9-year-old calls you Karen.
Yes.
Or if a black man tells you to put your dog on a leash according to the sign.
Yeah.
You are upset.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I don't want to say that it's every white woman.
It isn't.
Right?
It totally isn't.
It's just the ones who are so loud.
Yeah.
And just indignant. Is that the word that I can use?
Right.
That it's just that they end up on camera.
Yeah.
That they end up on camera, but it's not, but a lot of people have it inside of them.
Right.
And so when these things happen, we only see it on certain timelines. I am lucky enough that the election had me purge my timeline of a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So I have been able to see true allies not be afraid to share Ahmaud's story.
Right.
Not be afraid to say, you know what, this is wrong.
Yeah.
We should be praying for everybody, not for just Australian fires and Paris.
Yes.
We should also praying for our black neighbors who can't jump, who can't sit at home, right? So I am by no means making a blanket statement when I say they.
By all means. You know, I have white folks that I love and they love me. And I know this for sure. I know. I couldn't have propelled in my career if it wasn't for some of these people. Mm. And they're good people. And they are real. And they want to help. Yes. They totally want to help. And that's who's in my timeline. So when I railed on Karen the other day, yesterday? They're like, okay, and move on.
I mean, because, they get it and they hear you and they make an effort to understand you, which is pretty much all we're asking for. That's it. I just want to be heard and understood. And when I'm bird watching, left alone. That's it.
Or when I'm at work, leave me alone.
Please don't touch me or my hair.
Don't talk about my hair. Even the compliments every day gets to be ridiculous.
You changed it again?
Yeah, right. Right.
You still know who I am, so let's not talk about it.
Right. And would you say that to my white coworker every day? She puts her hair up in a ponytail. She takes it down. She wears it curly. Some days it's wet. Some days it's dry. Some days, it's a different color. But does she get all the, oh my God, look at your hair, when I'm just trying to show up and work?
Yes. I saw something the other day where a lady said, whenever I get my hair braided in the Caribbean, I get back home to Florida and people look at me like I'm crazy.
Florida.
I can't even go to Target.
Okay, that's a whole other show.
And I said to myself, she said, oh, I feel so good when I'm there. And then when I get home to Florida, I feel, people are staring at me. And I'm like, well, that's basically how we feel when we leave the house.
Yeah.
I felt really cute with my braids before I walked out the door. And then I went to Target.
Yeah.
And Karen.
Yes.
Karen had questions.
Yes.
Karen to run her fingers through my hair.
Yes.
I felt cute before I left.
And then Karen will get her hair cornrowed and then show up in Vogue and call it boxer braids.
Boxer, not box braid.
Yes,
Boxer, but yes.
and it's something that, of course, the Kardashians came up with.
Yes.
Yeah.
As well as bonnets.
Yes.
Silk bonnets are also.
And maybe if they correct, they would say, that was really Bo Derek. That's really who. Let's give credit where credit is due. Those Kardashians get credit for everything.
But see, I'm grateful for Google because people who are not my age can listen to this and Google it. Like, you got to be kidding me.
Yes.
You're kidding, right? Bo Derek, you're kidding me, right? Because it wasn't there. Cicely Tyson or any of the, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. How about Mother Africa?
We could even leave the 70s.
Go there?
We could leave the 70s and go somewhere completely.
I mean, come on. All right. Well, you mentioned the Caribbean, and the whole reason why I wanted to get you on here was to talk about this project that you've been working on.
Yeah.
You were stealth with it. I mean, I knew that it was coming, but then the pandemic came and things shifted. But you shifted too. So tell us about it.
Yes. So I had plans to do the Socamom Summit. It would be like the first event of its kind, a small number of people, like 200 people, going to a sunny location and talking about the Caribbean and parenting and just everything that was us, right? So, get cute.
Yeah.
Have
maybe even braid your hair.
Okay.
With some of those boxer braids. Get some corn, something, right? We were going to have ourselves a good time. And then life happened. And then immediately after life, we had pandemic. Yeah.
So, it was going to be postponed, but not canceled. And then it didn't seem like even the rain date, as I like to call it, was going to happen. Right? Because at the end of the day, I want people to be safe. And there's no reason to rush something like this. If they're not having the Olympics or Miss America,
right,
then I don't see why I should be pushing something like that.
South by Southwest was the first to make the beast move. They just yanked the plug out the wall and said, we'll figure it out later.
Like, we're not doing that to us.
Whoa, this is serious.
And it's a lot of money that they let go of. And I'm thinking, wow, if they will just drop everything like that, this is real. This is serious. So, but also I saw that the community was suffering because it was the very beginning. We had just gotten locked down. Everybody is at home and we're not used to this. No. We're not used to living this way.
No.
And there were some unique challenges for women in general and for the Caribbean community. Yes. Because we moved to this country, just like most immigrant communities, we gather in one place in a city or another place in a city. And we stay very, very close together. And we rely on those day-to-day interactions. Right. And then you have whole communities built around Caribbean businesses. So we wanted to get together and talk about that and how we could deal with those things. Parenting, education, all of the things that were kind of related to what was happening and our culture at the same time. The talk of underlying conditions. Well, a lot of Caribbean people are dealing with diabetes. We're dealing with a whole lot of different things that are not unique to us necessarily, but they impact us differently. So we wanted to talk about how COVID-19 would, impact us that way. And I planned it in 12 days from the first invitation.
I knew it had to be quick.
It had to be fast. And then we advertised it for 6 days total. And then we did it.
Wow.
That was it.
So people got questions like, how do you pivot on a dime like that? I mean, literally, you pivoted on a dime. So you went from a live event in person
that I had 10 months to plan.
Digital.
I was going to have 10 months to do that. I was gonna have I was gonna have sponsors. I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna have ticket sales. Like it was gonna be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very blessed to have a husband who is very well versed in agile,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The project management framework.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about, all right, this is the amount of time you have. You don't have time to test it like you need to test it.
Right.
You don't have time to, this whole thing is a sprint,
Yeah.
basically. There's nothing in between.
Right.
So, we just kind of worked through that. And then he is a very, very good IT person.
And shout out to
have.
Don. He's
Yes.
phenomenal. He's a good hubby.
Yes.
And he's got project management and IT chops.
Yes, he has the talents and the skills that I needed to get this done this quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to my kids.
Yes.
They know how to be quiet when necessary. All right. So those of you who don't tell your kids every now and then to be quiet,
Yes.
you won't be able to pivot on a dime in your house.
There you go. There you go. Well, and we're all learning that right now.
Okay,
Working
when
at
you're
home.
on a Zoom call and
Mhm.
somebody decides they want a snack and they want it now, you've never told your child no. You might want to work on that.
Start now.
Right. But
Now's the
it's
time.
not better. But they were also very helpful in helping me get things together, and Eden codes. So she was able to work her way around the website if I needed something
Oh, good.
or changed or something like that. And believe it or not, people were like, so how are you able to post here and post there and be on this?
It's a family
It's
affair.
a family thing. I'm like, hey, can you take that image and put it on my Instagram for me, please? Make it sound like me. And
Yes.
they're like, okay. Mommy talks in very short sentences and she's sarcastic. We'll make it work.
They're so sharp. They're so bright.
So we made it work, and I was able to get the number of speakers that I had. I had 50 women from 17 different countries.
Wow.
And for 20 sessions
Yeah.
over 2 days.
Wow.
And it's amazing the network that you have
Yeah.
when you just don't know.
You haven't
You just
tapped
don't
it.
know it's
Yeah,
there.
I call
And
it
so-
shaking the trees on your community.
Right. Like when you find out this is a thing that I'm passionate about, all of the people that have believed in you or people that you didn't even know. I'm like, oh, I'm going to ask, but I don't know if they're going to say yes. And they're like, girl, yes. We've just been
Well,
waiting.
and you know what? There's
happen.
something here. This is what I talk to my small business owners about and my corporate executives who are trying to define their brand. You have to be crystal clear on what it is you deliver. What problem do you solve? And people understand what Socamom is all about. So you don't have to go out there and herald it. They just know and they show up.
And those are the people that of course, Don and the family, but those 50 women who showed up on time and prepared.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal because what I was asking them to do was basically impossible, and they were willing to do it with me. So I cannot say enough about them.
Your tribe matters.
Yes.
And your community matters. Because when it's time to do something, you can't do it by yourself.
Nope.
You absolutely cannot do it by yourself. This is why this is called El Michelle Smith and Friends. People gloss over that part. And they try and pitch me. And I'm like, you don't get this. The friends make it happen.
Yes.
They expand the reach. They're core to the marketing strategy. Like, I at least get double the audience each time. At least.
Yes.
You bring on a Rev Run and you get far more. Right.
Yes. Yes.
But these are people who are, and I make a differentiation. You have a network. That's your reach. That's what Ted Rubin says. That's your reach, but your community is your power. Those are the people that will actually do something for you, and you will do something for them because you have a real relationship.
Yes. Yes.
Don't underestimate your tribe.
And they'll recommend great people to you because
Yes.
I knew probably about 80 to 90% of the people that were speaking. But for some of them, I'm like, I don't have a person for this topic. And it's so important that we talk about it. They're like, oh, I know somebody.
See?
Wait, what? And good people are around good people.
Yes.
Funny story is I'm planning the next one. I had somebody reach out to me and say, hey, this person, she's done amazing work in the Caribbean. You got to, talk to her and see if she has a spot that she can fill on one of the panels for your next summit. Okay, great. She's a soror.
Yeah.
And, the person who recommended was a soror, right? Mm-hmm. And then I reached out to somebody in Maryland who is very, very instrumental in the Caribbean community there. And I said, if you know anybody who can speak, please let me know. Mm-hmm. He sends me a name. My friend had sent me a name.
Yeah.
And I look at the two of them and I'm like, these people would be great on a panel together. So then I reach out to one of them and I said, and I would love to have you on a panel with this person. And they're like, oh, girl, we in the same dance class. I was like, wait, what? We're actually working on a project together. Wait.
Oh, that's perfect.
What?
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how when you surround yourself with good people and a good network, they also surround themselves with good people and a good network, and everybody can benefit.
Yeah. So you did it in April, right?
Yes.
And now it's coming up in June. What are the dates and what do people need to know?
So it's June 12th through the 14th. We're doing it a little differently this time, where we have paid sessions for some of the speakers.
Good.
Right? So very, very cool things that they're doing. We have one that's an embroidery class. She's been on HGTV, seen her all over the place. She's actually not just a craft genius, but she invented the first hip hop card game. It's amazing. Yeah, it's called University of Dope.
Oh, wow. That's
like
before
a really
Black
cool
Card Revoked. People, did you catch that?
I mean, it's amazing. It's
wow.
And it's funny. So she hosts game nights and does all kinds of things, but crafting is her thing.
Yeah.
And she's doing an embroidery class. She normally does it offline, of course. And she says, you know what? You got a flag you want to do? Bring it. Here's the
that'll get 'em
list.
in.
I'm telling you,
you got folks amazing. Trying to get their carnival outfit together. She got you hooked up.
And she will show you how to repurpose your old carnival outfit. You can do all kinds of stuff. But she's hosting an embroidery class. So that's one that is a first come, first serve. Then we have the sessions that are application based. So you apply to be in the session, and the person who is hosting the workshop will let you know if you've been let into the class based on your level of experience. So we have one for people who want to write Caribbean stories for young adults. And she's only accepting 6 people.
Yeah.
And she's accepting applications for that. And then she lets people know ahead of time if they've been accepted into the class. But we also have the free content that we had last time.
Awesome.
So everybody's money is tight. If you can afford to, do one of the other classes, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
But if, you need to take advantage of that free content, it's free. The replays are free. We don't charge you for replays like some conferences do. Watch it whenever you can. We try to make it evergreen and relevant so that, whenever you take a look at it, it can benefit you.
That's awesome. And y'all, I have to say, if you weren't listening very closely, you might have gotten a lesson in digital marketing. That was really smart. Make it all free the first time, get some levels and upsell a little bit the next time. And as it grows and you start to get more sponsors that are a little bit more acclimated to this new digital online thing, you're going to really be cooking.
Well, that's where you and I connect too, because I'm a big marketing nerd.
Yes.
Right? Like that makes me feel good. And I also like to see people grow. So I don't want to ask people to, work on this summit for me and they don't leave with a good feeling if they don't get anything out of it. So I want to make sure that the speakers have a chance to grow their business and to connect more than they did with just the free content.
Yes.
And also people have a chance to get closer to the speakers and become their super fans and follow them along. And for the application-based things, if you're not ready today, you might be ready a little bit later.
Time. Yes.
Right? And get some feedback.
Exactly. And there's a lesson in there around value. You're delivering value all the way around. Even if that means that for some, that just means access to people they want access to.
Yes, that's the plan.
And for everyone else, it's information.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, Eva. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yay! Well, if
Thank you
there's
so much.
anything that my audience can do for you, you let us know.
Will
And
do.
we will be there right there for you because it is El Michelle Smith and Friends. So,
Well, right now, the only thing that I want you guys to do is to register for the summit.
you hear
It's
that?
so That's it. That's it. You can register for the free part and decide if
Yes.
you want to move up to the paid content later. It's totally up to
That's
you.
awesome. And so, for those that are outside of the United States, maybe in Canada, maybe in the Caribbean, maybe in Europe, let them know how this applies to them too.
So we have speakers from everywhere. Last time we had people actually speaking from Caribbean countries.
Yeah.
We had a speaker talking about co-parenting during the pandemic. She was speaking from Canada.
Yeah.
So we have people from everywhere.
I love it.
And we try to make sure that everything is covered. Of course, the legal, we were talking about general strategies, and she was very specific if it was something that only applied to her locale, to her
Yeah.
region. But we try to make it for everybody. It is, and there's people, we had speakers who were American
Yeah.
because this is a community. It's
Yeah.
not just, oh, they have the beef online with the American descendants of slaves. And then they have, oh, well, there's African people doing this. And then
my goodness.
we don't do that at Socamom. We don't have time. We have work to do. We don't have
We are
time.
all one.
Right?
One love.
So that's it. One love.
One
Exactly.
love.
So we have to all come together to get it done.
Yes. And you know what? We should go out to some reggae or some soca. I'm going to find some that I don't have to pay for.
Okay.
Eva, it was so good to have you on, my sister.
So good to be here. And thank you for having me and giving me an opportunity to talk about the things that are important to me.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
I love you.
Love you too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let's see here. Turn off the recorder.